Welcome to the 3BA podcast, where bourbon, boners, and being awesome isn't just a catchy tagline, but different categories in which we discuss different topics every single day. My name is Garrett. I'll be your host along this unique journey through the bourbon craze, men's health, and everything that life throws at you in between. On today's first men's health episode, I just want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? I have an idea about what we want to talk about throughout the episodes going forward, and eventually we'll start to get some co-hosts on and help me talk about it. But for this very first Men's Health episode, I wanted to take the reins and kind of lay the groundwork moving forward, what you expect to see and what we hope to discuss. On this first episode talking about sleep, it's something that I don't get enough of. I don't think a lot of men out there don't get enough of. Heck, I don't think a lot of people in general don't get enough of, especially throughout the week when they're supposed to be rested and ready to go to tackle every single day, every challenge that gets thrown at you. You need to have the right amount of sleep. So here's the question. What is the right amount of sleep? You're going to hear all the recommendations. You're smart. You can Google. You can look it up on the internet. But ultimately, the reason why we're having this conversation today is because I found over the time that I did the research involving sleep that it literally varies person to person. Now, you're probably saying, well, Garrett, why are you doing a podcast in regards to sleep? Well, the reason for that is because I don't think that people really take the necessary amount of time to research what best fits them, nor do I think they get the right amount of sleep that best suits their lifestyle and what they do on a daily basis. So that poses the question, what is the right amount of sleep for you? I don't know what that is. Your body type and my body type aren't the same. Your lifestyle and my lifestyle aren't the same. But what I can tell you is that the recommended 8 hours varies in roughly an hour in either direction. And you're going, really, Garrett, 9 hours? Yeah, there are some people out there that need 9 hours. There are some people out there that can get everything done on 7 hours. There was a study done about the most successful people, the top 10 most wealthy people and successful people in the United States. The commonality was the amount of sleep that they got, and that ranged anywhere between 7 and 7.5 hours every single night. Did they go out and party all night? No. Maybe they did, but if they did party all night, they slept for 7 hours. Their body was in tune, they slept for 7 hours or 7.5 hours. For me, for my body type, the recommended amount of sleep is anywhere between 7 hours and 45 minutes to 8 hours and 15 minutes. It's a half an hour window. The research that I did, you can Google it. I'm not going to promote a site or any other health examples. Just look it up. There are calculators out there that recommend the amount of sleep that you should get. So why am I telling you to get some sleep? Or why am I having a conversation about sleep when it changes for everybody? Well, I can tell you not only from personal experience, but everything that's going on with my own personal life, and I'm sure with you, probably has something to do with the amount of sleep that you get. Believe it or not, there's a scientific study that correlates directly with the amount of energy and sleep that you have when you start your day, whether it's the right amount, more than what you should have gotten, or less than what you should have gotten. Now you're saying, Garrett, you're saying some obvious things here. Yes, I am. But this is one of those topics that nobody really sits down and addresses or talks about. What do you get throughout the day? You get the, hey man, I'm really tired, or I was up way late last night watching TV, or yeah, I went out over the weekend with my friends and we were just out real late, or as now I'm getting older, I was out with my friends, but I was really tired, but I really pushed through just to stay out. Or I went to a concert last night and saw one of my favorite bands, and we went out afterwards and it was too late. Or I was up watching the baseball game or the basketball game or the football game, and I just stayed up really late watching it. Those are all activities. Those are all things that you choose to do. Some of you may fall asleep during those, or watching a movie or TV. I keep alluding to watching things, but you could be out doing activities as well. But along those lines comes the responsibility of making sure that you receive the right amount of sleep after you make that choice. Now, am I here preaching to you, make sure you go to bed early? No, I'm not. However, what I am challenging you to do is to analyze your daily activities, to analyze your daily routine. If you have a routine, if you don't have a routine, I would strongly recommend getting a routine. When you get a routine, your body recognizes that routine. You start to feel the right amount of, you start to have the right amount of energy. You know the right amount of sleep that you need. And then when you wake up, you're maybe not as grumpy in the morning. Or maybe you're not as groggy in the morning. Or maybe you don't need 3 cups of coffee to get your day started. Or maybe you don't need to snap on your coworker when you get to work because they said something that was very innocent, but you were just really tired. Again, this is very general. I'm speaking in generalities because ultimately, this is something that we don't talk about. That's what the point of this podcast is. We don't talk about what is the right amount of sleep to get. Now, I've alluded to an equation or a website that you can go and check it out. They're out there. You can find them. I'm sure there's a different study every single place. And I'm sure you're going to find different results when you look up your body type, your weight, your activity, your daily routine. You can plug in all those factors and they'll give you a general idea or a general window of the amount of sleep that you should get. Now, how does that impact you? How does that impact the people around you? Very simply put, you're going to have more energy. Now, am I a wizard in this? Is this a new idea for you? No. But when was the last time you actually took some time for yourself and sat down and said, I need to analyze what I'm doing that's causing me to feel the way that I do? Throughout this particular podcast, you're going to get a lot of those instances. We're going to give some recommendations on foundations to start laying down for yourself to make yourself feel better. Not only just energy level, but having a better outlook, being positive, mental health, having the energy to come home after a day of work and continue to do the things that you need to do with your family or as you as an individual. Making sure that whenever you're at your job, you're not causing a problem or being a problem. You're maybe more of a solution and a positive person when it comes to the idea of getting a particular job done, an issue taken care of, or resolving an issue that a customer or a client may have. All of those things are affected by you, the way you feel. And again, going back to, did you get a good night's rest? Now, sleep isn't the only answer. Sleep isn't the end all be all. It's not going to be the perfect solution to every problem in your life. And that's not really what we're here to do. What I'm here to do is to tell you that there are ways to research and there are sites and resources for you to find so that you can figure out, hey, maybe he made a good point. I'm not really getting enough sleep. Or maybe you have a newborn. My own brother and sister-in-law are about to have another baby. My brother is going to not get a lot of sleep lately. Now, that's something that comes with the territory. But you got to make up for it somewhere. You have to take care of yourself as well as your family, your newborn. You have to make sure that you're full of energy. I know I keep saying energy, but you have that rest. You get that right amount of sleep, of that recharge, if you will, so that you can provide what you need for your family, especially in a newborn scenario. I personally don't have any children myself, but I can tell you that everyone I've talked to and every one of my friends and family members, sleep is something that they wish they had more of. So where does that take us now? Well, that leads me to where I believe that this podcast is going, and that is to tell you, to give you some information, to give you some suggestions, to give you an outline, if you will, of some positive tasks to perform, things to do, research to get done, and what you should try to do on your own to improve your energy levels, your sleep time, just your all-around well-being as a person. And I do say person. This isn't just for men. It's for everybody. That being said, suggestions. I'm not a doctor, but I have done some research. And the research is simply this. Literally, get on your computer, your phone, your device, and do a quick search on performing what the recommended amount of sleep for a person of my type, my body type, my age, my weight, my height, everything. What is the recommended amount of sleep to get for me? Most people will look at that, and this is a true story. Most people will look at that and say, 8 hours, there is no way I'm getting 8 hours. But that leads me to my second point, and that is asking yourself the real question of why not. Is it a matter of going to bed earlier? Is it a matter of sleeping in on a weekend? Or if you're getting up early to go to work, is it making sure that you set some time, maybe an extra 15 minutes on your alarm? I know those are generic solutions, but they're also real life scenarios in which you may want to go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Shut off your phone. Turn off that television show. Record the football game unless it's your team. If it's not your team and you're just watching it to watch it, maybe that's something you need to cut out. Now, you don't want to hear it. I'm not your parental figure, but that's how you're going to adjust to fit into those sleep recommendations. Now, is that the final answer? No, it's not. Ultimately, you also need to find out if you're having a problem sleeping. A lot of men, women, people in general sometimes have sleep problems that they are unaware of. For instance, breathing, sleep apnea, grinding their teeth, stomach pain, or indigestion. Those are all really random factors that can affect the way you sleep. A sleep monitor is another tool that you could use to find out how good of a night's sleep that you're actually getting. Is it quality sleep? Are you waking up a lot? Are you grinding your teeth? Do you have sleep apnea? Are you waking yourself up, breathing in dry air? Do you have a fan blowing on you, causing you to have a scratchy throat, like myself? And those scenarios, those are all factors that will affect the way and an amount and the quality of sleep that you get every single night. Again, these are obvious things that I'm pointing out. And at this point in your life, whatever point that may be, whether you're younger or older, you probably know if you have some conditions while you sleep. I'm here to simply point out that if you don't know if you do have any of those conditions, I highly recommend a sleep study. A sleep study can be done anywhere that you are, anywhere that you live, anywhere you are in the world. You can find a hospital or an institution that will do a sleep study. Now, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you might have to go into a town or a city that does it. I'm not oblivious to that. But there are sleep studies around your area within a reasonable distance that I'm aware of. Now, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, don't hold it against me. I understand. But I would highly recommend, if you're having problems or issues, if you've looked at the recommended hours of sleep, you're getting those every single night, and you still feel like you're not well rested, you still are groggy and angry and irritable, it would behoove you to look up a sleep study where you actually go in and they monitor you for one night's sleep. I've had multiple friends do this. I personally haven't. I think I get pretty good sleep, but I've had multiple friends go in for sleep studies. They come out finding out that they need, sleep. They need a CPAP machine. They had sleep apnea. They didn't even know it. Or I had a friend of mine who came out and he was grinding his teeth so bad, his dentist was going, "What are you doing?" And I have no idea. They did a sleep study. He grinds his teeth. Didn't know it. Again, these are all larger issues, probably something we can talk about on its own, specifically sleep apnea or grinding your teeth or not a good night's sleep. But I wanted to point it out as an issue that is such a general, right in your face, very obvious thing to discuss about being a healthier person that maybe you didn't even think to recognize or to bring up. Well, man, I didn't even think about sleep. Maybe that's why I'm not feeling so good today. I can tell you in my own experience, not getting enough sleep, just even if it's a half an hour less than what my body's used to, I can feel it throughout the day. Do I try to counteract that? Absolutely. Do I push through? Sure. Are there going to be days where you can't get a full 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever it is? Yes. We know that. I just highly recommend that you at least have a plan. If you have a plan, you'll at least try to attempt to get to where you need to be. When you try to attempt to get to where you need to be, your body starts to change and feel that the more normal rotation, sleep cycle, if you will, of when you're going to bed, when you're waking up, how much sleep that your body needs to get. Those are all things that you will adapt to, and then you will hopefully get into a rhythm with. And then when that rhythm and that cycle start to get on a regular basis, that's when you start to feel better. Is it overnight? There was a little irony in me asking that. No, it's not going to happen overnight. I think that was a pun intended. But it is something that can happen over time. And again, if you take nothing away from the men's health or the boners aspect of this podcast, we're trying to give you recommendations, and we're going to talk about topics that maybe you never thought to, or were maybe so obvious that you just completely forgot and you don't focus on. And to start it right off, sleep is the number one focus for men's health, for women's health, for people's health in general. You have to get that rest. You have to be recharged. You have to let your body, just recoup from what you put it through throughout that day. That being said, do your own research. Find out what's best for you. I am not a doctor. I am not somebody who knows what you do on a daily basis. I am not a physician that specializes in, how to get the best sleep and what to do to hit the deepest sleep and get the best rest. I don't know. No idea. But what I can tell you is that there are resources out there for you to follow and for you to look into. So my recommendation on this very first Men's Health, this Boners episode, is to look at the way and how much and when and what you're doing when you sleep. If nothing else, take some time for yourself. Do some research. Look into a sleep test. Look into what just makes you feel better. That's what this is about. All about bettering yourself. That being said, have a great first Bourbon, Boners, and Being Awesome's Boners episode Tuesday. And we look forward to talking to you again. Like I said, hopefully we're looking to get some co-hosts on specific days, so you'll see some other faces. And I would be amiss if I didn't sign off to tell you, get some sleep. We'll talk to you guys next time.